All right, today we are diving into the absolutely incredible story of Nana Yaa Asantewaa. She was a leader whose sheer courage in the face of a massive empire forged a legend that honestly still echoes to this day. Just listen to those words. These are the words that sparked a full-blown rebellion, and they weren't spoken by a king or some battle-hardened general. Nope, they came from a 60-year-old queen mother who was staring down an impossible choice. This single quote, it really sets the stage for one of the most remarkable acts of defiance in colonial history.
So, to really understand why she was willing to risk absolutely everything, we need to go back in time. Let's travel to the turn of the 20th century, to the powerful Asante Empire in West Africa.
You see, at the very heart of the Asante Empire wasn't a person, but an object of immense, almost unimaginable power, the Golden Stool. And let's be clear, this was not just some royal chair. To the Asante people, this was, and still is, the literal embodiment of their nation's soul.
And the reverence for this stool, it goes incredibly deep. The legend says it was conjured right from the heavens. It's believed to hold the spirit, the unity, and the entire strength of the Asante people. It symbolizes all legitimate authority, and it is so sacred that not even their own king, the Asante Hene, ever sits directly on it. So to possess the stool is to possess the Asante people. And to desecrate it, well, that's to destroy them.
So, with that in mind, you can start to feel the tension when an outside force, the ever-expanding British Empire, began to push into Asante lands and trample on their traditions.
Now, this wasn't some sudden conflict that came out of nowhere. Oh, no. This was the boiling point after nearly a century of aggression. From the first wars way back in the 1820s, to the British burning the capital city, to the ultimate insult of exiling the Asante king in 1896, the pressure was just immense. By the year 1900, the whole situation was a powder keg waiting to explode.
And this was the spark. The British governor, a man named Sir Frederick Hodgson, made a demand that was just born of pure ignorance and arrogance. He didn't just want their land or taxes, he demanded the golden stool itself, so that he, a foreigner, could sit on it. To him, it was a symbol of his power. To the Asante, it was completely unthinkable. It was a demand for their very soul.
So their king is gone, their spirit has been weakened by years and years of fighting, and the remaining Ashanti chiefs were just demoralized. They held a secret meeting, and you know what? Many of them argued for just giving in. The risk of fighting the British Empire again just seemed way too great. They were right on the verge of surrendering the stool. But in that room full of defeated men, one person was not defeated. Yaa Asantewaa. She was the queen mother of a neighboring state, a really powerful position, responsible for advising the king and protecting the culture. And as the men were debating surrender, she stood up.
Can you imagine the silence? She starts by questioning their very identity. Her voice just cuts through all that despair, and she challenges the honor of every single chief in that room. It was a direct hit to their pride and their entire history as fierce warriors.
You can almost feel her indignation, right? Her absolute refusal to accept that the great Ashanti nation would just give up its spirit without even putting up a fight. Her words were a rallying cry against their own fear. And this is the moment everything changes. She sees leadership right then and there. She basically shamed the men into action by declaring that if they wouldn't defend the nation's honor, then the women would. In that single moment, a rebellion was born, and Yaa Asantewaa was its heart. And just like that, inspired by her incredible courage, the Asante chiefs completely reversed their decision. They would not surrender. They would go to war. And you know what? They had just found their new leader.
What happens next is just mind-blowing. Yaa Asantewaa wasn't just the spiritual inspiration for what became known as the War of the Golden Stool. No, she was appointed its commander-in-chief. She was actively directing military strategy and leading an army of thousands against the British Empire.
And the stakes were absolutely monumental. This is a true David and Goliath story. On one side, you have a queen mother leading warriors who are fighting to protect their very spiritual existence. And on the other, you have the largest, most technologically advanced military on Earth, fighting for colonial expansion. The odds were, well, they were almost impossible. The war raged for months. The Asante forces were actually successful for a while, laying siege to the British fort in Kumasi. But the might of an empire is a difficult thing to overcome. And this all leads to the final, tragic chapter of Yaa Asantewaa's personal story.
So, despite their incredible bravery and those early successes, the Asante army was eventually overwhelmed by a massive British relief force, armed with machine guns. Yaa Asantewaa was captured, and along with other leaders, she was exiled to the Seychelles, a chain of islands thousands of miles away in the Indian Ocean. She would die there 20 years later, never setting foot in her homeland again.
So, does that mean she failed? Absolutely not. Not even close. While she lost the war and her own freedom, her #1 objective was achieved. The Golden Stool was kept hidden. It was never surrendered to the British. Her war was the last major conflict of its kind in Africa, and her actions cemented her legacy forever as a national hero in Ghana, a global symbol of anti-colonial resistance, and a true inspiration for anyone, anywhere, fighting for their identity and their freedom.
The story of Yaa Asantewaa really leaves us with a powerful thought. Sure, she lost the battle, sure. But in so many ways, she won the war for her people's soul. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often is the true measure of victory not really about the outcome of a single fight, but about the enduring power of the story it leaves behind?